it's magic. You know, you better believe it's not so. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. We're back for another episode of the Couch Coaches. It's a magical round. We're looking forward to Magic Round coming up. The Warriors in the top four, coming off another win, a grind against the Newcastle Knights last Friday night for Anzac Day. But a win's a win. We'll take the 2 points. My name is Richard at the Bandwagon Lenny, and I'm joined as always by my co-host John Lazaron. John, how are you doing, bro? You look like you've got a bit of a different background there. You doing all right?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. I'm good. Yeah, no, I don't have the Warriors memorabilia as I normally do. Behind me, I'm at a hotel, but you know what? I'm committed to the channel, which is why I'm still, while I'm on a work visit, still on here recording in my hotel. So, yep, all good, mate. But yeah, mate. So it looks a bit different, but yeah, I'm loving all this, and I'm loving the fact that the Wars are on, on top of things in the top four at the moment after 8 rounds. It's brilliant, isn't it?
Oh, you love to see it, man. You love to see it. I'm just gonna go straight into it because there's a
Yep.
question I've been talking to a few people about recently, and that's about the Warriors being in the top four. And I'm not sure I know the answer to it, so I'm just intrigued to hear your sort of what you think. Are the Warriors actually good, John?
You have to throw that at me, don't you? Okay, so I'll give you the non-bias answer. Okay, so because if I was biased, I'll be saying, oh mate, they're amazing, amazing. And to be honest with you, what I have been impressed with the Warriors this season is that they've been able to grind out wins. Um, as we've all mentioned, and I'm sure I've heard many people mention this as well, that Warriors of yesteryear, previous Warriors sides wouldn't have come away with the 2 points from games that they've gone through the season already. They would have just lost the momentum and they wouldn't have been able to hit back, or the game would be so tight that the other team would just get that little edge on them, in the last 10 minutes or last 15 minutes, and then they just lose hope, it's the type thing they lose hope. But we've all seen it. We've all seen it when it comes to a Warriors game. But I love the fact that they're grinding out the wins here. I honestly think that there's still a lot to improve on. Like I mentioned to you last week that what I want to see from this Warriors side is just a polished performance. Like it doesn't have to be perfect, but for example, when we're having set plays, for example, let's see a set play that actually works, that gets executed really well. But we're not seeing much of that, and we're scoring some tries, but a lot of it's come from broken play. A lot of it's by chance and stuff. But you got to take those chances. So I'm not trying to downgrade the Warriors' form on that. I'm just saying that it would be nice to see a bit more things happen where it's a bit more fluent, and polished, and where they're executing their set plays a bit more. But you know what? I'm just loving the fact that we're still sitting in a good position, despite the fact that it hasn't been a polished, really big polished performance yet. But they're getting better, and I can say this though is that it was a lot better. They were like one of the things I've been complaining about this season is the contesting in the air, and I'm not the only one. I know I'm not the only one that has noticed this. I think every Warriors true Warriors fan would have seen this as well, but they did it a bit more. They actually contested some of their up and unders this week against the Knights, sorry, on Friday, and they also put in some grubbers. So they were actually analysing the situation at the time and the conditions. So they were playing to the conditions, and some of them almost led to tries, but there was some, and they didn't. The grubbers didn't lead to tries, but um, the fact is that they were doing that. They were able to still pin down the Knights players in goal, which means they got the ball back, which means they got the ball back. So that's what you want to see. Them actually, attacking more in that way from their last tackle plays. So that I was happy about that. Like I said, not polished, but I was really happy to see those bits and pieces. And so, in summary, to summarize the answer to your question, I say they are a good 6 to 7 out of 10 at the moment.
Yeah, it's probably a pretty fair call, I think. Yeah, and what you're saying before about grinding out the wins, I think that's a big one for me, is that these are games which last year, last 2 years, 3 years, we would have
Yeah,
lost. Um, it's not like there's been, probably apart from the Manly game, I feel like there hasn't really been a game where we've walked out really feeling sort of coming out being like, hey, we played well there, But
yeah,
yeah, I mean, there's an old saying in the NRL, 2 points is 2 points, and the
yeah,
Warriors picked up another two. on the weekend. So and they're sitting in the top four, and I think this is what the NRL is like this season. It's such a close comp. Genuinely, I think what we're saying is that any team can beat any team in this
Yeah,
competition, and hopefully we continue to see that because it just provides great footy. Absolutely horrible for the multis, but
yeah,
that's another conversation, you know. So.
yeah.
But yeah, the Warriors did come away 26-12 win over the Newcastle Knights in Christchurch. And I said before, well, it wasn't the prettiest of wins, but they did enough to sort of get it done. Another ugly win that I've written down here, and we got a bit lucky with a few of the calls,
Yep.
with not the calls as such, but just a few, Knights were knocking the ball on a bit. Old Schiller on the right wing, he had a bit of a shocker. He
Yeah.
dropped a few drop balls. Marziu was about the same.
Yeah.
Ponga, that Knights backline, just they're not able to sort of get the most of
No.
Ponga and the likes of sort of Marziu as well. Because when Marziu really runs the ball well, he's a hard man to stop. But we did well to contain that. And it was great to see Jackson Ford get a double on his 50th game for the Warriors. Pompey moved out to the
Yep.
wing. He scored a double as well. So plenty to like about the game. What was your sort of your highlight? What's the thing your biggest takeaway from the game?
Um, I'll give you two. Luke Metcalf actually, showing his authority in the number seven jersey, but not just being able to steer and direct the team around the park. He actually showed his attacking brilliance as well. Um, he picked up six Dally M points from that game. So he was able to do both, and that's what I've been wanting to. I mean, I mentioned it last week. There, I thought that one side of his game, which is the steering, was impacting him so much that he wasn't able to play his natural game, attacking game. But it's slowly. I wouldn't say it's 100% there, but it's slowly getting there where he's actually starting to back himself, steering and attacking at the same time, which is good. And so that was good to see. His confidence is growing, by the minute. So that's only a good thing for the Warriors, especially when we're winning. Especially when we're winning. So that's one highlight I was really happy to see. And another one is Wayde Egan. Like, we all know how brilliant he is. We don't have to go on and on about how awesome he is. He's just an amazing player. Does every week does what he does and does it brilliantly. But the reason why I bring it up now is because, the first thing I was thinking of the game is that surely he's in line for that Skies Blues jumper, or at least being in the squad at least. So that's what I was thinking. Like I think he's done enough for it, to be at least added into the squad. So seeing him, he scored a try from dummy half, doing what Wayde Egan does, scores those little tries. Also those breaks that he gets from dummy half. There's no look passes, he gets accurate all the time. He was just doing his thing, and yeah, causing a bit of havoc up the middle there. So yeah, for me, Wayde Egan. I checked before he's on 10 Dally M points, so he's in the list there. So and there's no other the other New South Wales hookers that are in contention. Well, you would think they're in contention. They're not above him in any points or so. So I'd have to say he's up. He should be in contention for a calling, but we'll have to
He's
wait and
on
see.
he's on 11 Wally end points for those asking at home.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I agree, man. He's playing great. I think in 2023 when we made the finals, he was a big reason for that. I
yeah,
think last year, when we kind of dropped off, I think we overlooked the fact that he wasn't playing that well. I think I personally didn't I overlooked that, and I kind of hadn't put two and two together there, and sort of realized, okay, I think we blamed it a lot on Sean Johnson not being there, but and that would have affected Wagon's form, obviously. But yeah, this
yeah,
season he's been great. He's been one of the best on the fields on the every week for the Warriors. As I said before, he's got 11 William points already, so he's right up there, and I suspect he might be able to pick up a few more points when we give out our points for the game.
yep,
I suppose the question is, yeah, for the Sky Blue jumper, like who's the competition there? Obviously, Robson was there last year. You got the likes of
yep.
Coruscant, you got Damien Cook. I know
Connor
there's been a
Watson.
bit of yeah, Connor Watson. Bit of talk about Blake Brayley. Um, so there's a few other players there, but he well deserves a shot. And I think
Well,
like obviously Robson gets chosen for his defensiveness, but on the weekend Egan was 43 43 tackles, 0 misses,
Yeah,
and that was there's some big boys in that Knights pack, the likes of the Thompson boys and Dyson Brazil. I tell you what, there was a couple of guys in that Knights team. I was like, I swear to God, I've never even heard of this, but like there was about
yeah,
3 or 4 guys. I was like, who are these people? So
yeah,
like
no,
they're
yeah.
just they're not the most. Yeah, the Knights. I think it's gonna be a long season for the Knights fans, but
I think so.
um, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. It'd be interesting to see what you'd love to know what Laurie Daly's thinking, wouldn't don't you?
Yeah, well, I would love to know what he's thinking. I actually sent him a message this afternoon. I don't know Laurie personally in terms of my sports media days, so I decided to send him a message anyway. And then look, it was a cheeky message. It was a bit of a stupid message because I know that he was not going to respond. You know what I mean? I know that because basically I asked him, "Hey Laurie, how's it going, mate? Wayde Egan, is he in the conversations for the hooker role this year?" And I actually did say to him, "Look, I know you can't spill out your selections, details, etc. But I just want to know if he's in the conversations." Did I get a response? No, because yeah,
Has he
I wasn't
seen it?
holding my. Hey, I don't think he's seen it. I haven't checked. I haven't checked. I just didn't. I wasn't holding my breath, so I didn't even check. So I was either getting a response or I wasn't. So yeah, I don't know if it's because I've been out of full time sports media for over a year now. So gone onto the political game at the moment, political media at the moment. But I don't know if it's that. But I messaged another Auckland FC star today to congratulate him. And he responded back. So I'm still remembered by some players. I'm still remembered by some
Nice.
players. But so yeah, no, I don't know if Laurie Daly will be like, okay, Reece Robson, no, they won the series last year and he was part of that team, so he's the incumbent, so I'm going to pick him automatically. Connor Watson was the number 14 utility backup as well, so I hope he's not going with that mentality of just picking the incumbents, you know what I mean? Because there was even talk today, for example, I read about a story where they were talking about Nathan Cleary and Dylan Edwards that their roles would be on the line because I mean the Panthers. I mean, we all knew that the Panthers would, finally, there'll be a time when it stops. Their momentum where they just keep winning would stop. But I didn't think it was going to be this bad. That's a big fall from grace, isn't it? To be
Yep.
last on the table after 8 rounds, and with only one win. So I think it's just one win
Two
anyway.
wins, I think.
2 wins.
Yeah,
Oh
two
yeah, two
wins.
wins. 2 wins. Still, that's not really Panther-like, is it? When we know the Panthers that we know, and especially with Cleary there, Dylan Edwards, Isaiah Yo, all those guys. So yeah, I was hearing that they, those roles were, no, their places in the side, sorry, were up for grabs. And if that's the case, you got to look at other spots as well. For example, I just think Wayde Egan deserves a spot in the squad, just going on form. I mean, I haven't watched much of the Cowboy stuff. I admit that, but I haven't been hearing a lot of headlines about Reece Robson, or Connor Watson or Coruscant, you know, doing magical things. So I think he'd definitely be in the top two, hookers in
Yeah,
the
I think
competition.
I think with Connor Watson, I think if he's there, he'd probably be more of a utility. I think that
Yeah,
because he offers a little bit more. Like he's played a bit in the halves,
yeah,
played a bit of lock. Played a lot of
yep,
lock as well. So
yep,
I think with Connor Watson, he's been playing great, um, and I think that he would be there as a utility in the
yep,
squad and the team, like in the 17. And then I imagine,
yep,
it's probably out of Robson. I mean, obviously, Coruscant's been there and done that, and hasn't been playing badly.
yep,
And he offers a lot more attack than Robson in particular. But yeah, I think Ian seems to have just, I don't know, shown a few. If he's got a few more sort of tricks up his sleeve, that's for sure. So it's been great to see, and I imagine the first Origin must be about 4 weeks away now. So the team probably will be named in the next couple. No, it's normally about two or
yeah.
three weeks before the
Well,
end date. So
that's why I'm bringing it up because it's like if the squad's going to be announced, very soon, with April 28th, sorry, May 28th is when the first Origin game is happening. So that's only 4 weeks away, basically. So what I'm saying is that that squad is going to be picked soon. Surely, if you go on form, Wayde Egan has to be in the mix because he's. I mean, I don't, like I said, I haven't watched a lot of Reece Robson. Connor Watson, I agree with you, is more of a utility because he can play lock, plays a lot of lock. But I think that he'll be ahead of. I think Ian would be ahead of Coruscant And and I think as Magic round, funnily enough, the Warriors are playing the Cowboys for in Magic round, so that could be a bit of a trial between the two to see who comes out on best and see so who can make who can enforce their way into that role. Can Robson keep his role, or can Wayde Egan fight his way back into the role? Wagan, I don't know what Wagan is. Yeah, like he didn't say wanker
The band
like
Vegan.
Scott Sattler. Yeah, yeah. Anyway, yeah.
So if just quickly, if he did get clipped for New South Wales, would you be bringing Healy in to start, or would you go through Lasso?
No, Healy for sure. I don't have problems with Lussick, but I just think Lussick's too much of a defensive player than an attacking player.
And he's been playing in the front row, eh?
Yeah, I
For
don't
New South Wales
understand. I don't
Cup.
understand. I
That's
don't
crazy.
understand that. He's not a big body, but he wore the number 10 jersey. Was it last week or the week before? He wore the number 10
He's done it
jersey.
a couple of weeks now, I think. Yeah, so um, I
What
don't know. Like it's
shows
probably
he's got a
just
lot of
a sign of that New South Wales Cup still is a bit of a step down from, from the NRL. But
yeah,
shout out to the Warriors New South Wales Cup team, and number one
yeah.
on the ladder. And
SG Ball as well in the grand final.
yep, SC Ball Boys in the grand final. So the club
Yeah,
once again in a very good spot. So long may that last.
yeah,
Yeah, let's go back to the night's game, I suppose.
yep,
First of all, shout out to the Christchurch crowd, but like a great atmosphere. Savage was there emceeing the game, and I had a few friends messaged me who went along. I shouted my dad tickets for his birthday, and
nice.
he said it was great, loved the atmosphere. But yeah, I mean the comments I heard were just that the atmosphere is just so much better than going to a rugby union game. The NRL
Yeah,
have really just sorted it out. Obviously, they always do Anzac round very well, and there was no exception. Uh, all the games, it was great to see the sort of acknowledging the day so well.
yeah,
But back to the sort of action on the field. I mentioned before, yes, big shout out to Jackson Ford.
yeah,
But once again, I mean, we've talked about him. I feel like it's every week we're talking about this guy. Well, both Jackson Ford, but also Aaron
yeah,
Clark. He had another absolutely stunning game. I thought.
yeah,
It just blows my mind how good he is. How every week he's improving, and when you think about the fact that we were supposed to have Dylan Walker and Tohu Harris this year, and that he's just come in and we're not, like, I always sort of miss having Tohu around, but I feel like he's just sort of slot in there and filled that gap so well. So, yeah, just I mean, once again, big shout out to him. I just think
yeah.
what he's doing, and I'm looking forward to seeing sort of just how good he can become for this club because it's been a great first seven rounds, that's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, no, agree, mate. Like Jackson Ford, what's sorry, Aaron Clark. What's so awesome says that they're putting their performances every week. It's not of like 1 week they're putting a performance, the next week it's a bad game, then another bad game, then they put another good performance in, and that's what's awesome to see that they're just getting through, and doing their job because it's nothing flashy about both of them. There's nothing flashy
No,
about
no,
both of them, but they're just doing what they need to do. They're making their hard yards up. They're making the tackles. They're staying on the field a long time as well. Jackson Ford considering that he's playing front row, he can stay on the field quite a long time, which actually is a big bonus for any side when you know that you've got a player that can actually stay on the field as long as he can, for that length of time, and also not just doesn't get weary. He just stays, it's just still the momentum doesn't change. It keeps on going up or stays at the same where he's at. So that's really good. It's really good. And but yeah, nothing flashy about them, but they're doing their job as well. And they're doing great. They deserve their spots in the team for sure.
yeah, and the clubs have been such a great comp. We've obviously talked about them a lot, but Halasima, Vamaga, and also
Yeah,
Jacob Laban getting another game off the bench.
yeah,
Great to see those three all getting a run. Obviously, when Fisher Harris is back, at least one of them is going to be dropping off. But it's awesome they're all getting a good chance to get a run, and I think they're all putting their hands up and you're not questioning any of their positions
nah. But
in the squad. That's for sure. Eh?
yeah, no, definitely you're right. But I mean, just on there, when bringing up the Halasima, etc., and Jacob Laban and stuff, like they're the future, right? As we know, they're the future of the club. But then you've got the Warriors who were just signed on. Leeds Rhinos forward Morgan Gannon. He's a second rower, can play the lock as well. And I did a video. If you haven't watched it, go to our YouTube channel or our Facebook. Doesn't really matter. You'll see it. Did a short video on Morgan Gannon. Don't know much about him, so I admitted that in the video. But I did watch some clips, and in the clips, he looked like a really good player. But can you compare Super League to NRL? I don't know, you know what I mean? But he's only 21 years old and has a history of concussions, which is always a worrying thing. But he's only 21 years old, so maybe that was just a one minor setback. I said that in the video. But if he comes in, my question to you is, what happens to the other abundance of second rowers that we have? Because they've signed him on for 3 years. And he's a young dude. He's not just someone experienced. He's a young dude. But he's clocked up 50 Super League games. But yeah, what happens to the likes of Jackie Laban, Murata?
We're not holding on.
Yeah.
We're not holding on to those three young boys, I don't think, because if you've got Aaron Clark and him, obviously Capewell. I think Capewell's got another year on his contract day, so he'll.
And he's
he'll
getting
be
on
around
with
for
age as
another
well, so I
year.
don't know if he'll stay on much longer.
Yeah. I mean,
I like Capewell. I like Capewell, but I think that with his age and stuff, but he's been pulling out some performances. He's been making some good breaks, and he scored that one try down, not against the Knights, the previous game against the Broncos, where he made that break. Shows he's still got a bit of gas in him. So yeah, but he is on the older side. So will the Warriors look to the younger rather than the older? So I mean, we've got an abundance of second rowers now. But
Yeah.
they did say that Morgan Gannon was touted as the replacement for Dylan Walker. So will they be looking to play him at lock because he has got some ball playing skills? So who knows what's going to happen? But they've got an abundance of second rowers and back row forwards. You know what I mean? They've got abundance of them at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, I suspect that him and Aaron Clark will kind of rotate.
Yeah.
Sort of like Jazz and Dylan Walker were last year.
Yeah.
When they were both on the field. But yeah, as I said, I can't imagine us keeping Halasima, Balmolga, and because those guys are all, which is a shame. They're all so good, but yeah, I mean, I'm in the same position as you with Morgan Gannon. I've literally never seen him play before, but from everything I read and all the sort of comments I saw on social media from people who do follow the Super League, they see he's a great signing. So I'm excited to sort of see him come over and do his thing.
Yeah.
Wasn't too
Exactly.
impressed with you throwing shade at Sam Tompkins in the Facebook post the other day. I think I've said it before in the podcast. I'll say it again. I think he got a hard time playing for at the Warriors. He wasn't bad, but I think we all just thought he was going to be the next Billy Slater or something. And he kudos to him for going back to Super League. He's just retiring now, and he had a very successful career. So,
Yeah.
but yeah,
I saw.
I said it to you when you mentioned me the other day as well. About you think of the amount of these English hard men, sort of second rowers, forwards that have come through and made an impression on the comp, the likes of sort of some of those Burgess boys, Elliot Whitehead, John Bateman when he first came over. They had instant sort of effect on the comp. So I'm sure that I'm hoping that Morgan Gannon will be the same. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see what happens next year and who gets re-signed and whether I mean Noah Corey is another one, with if Tom Raleigh's if Tom Raleigh's sort of fit as well, we've got a little bit of extra depth in the front row there. I think we probably are still. I mean, when Bunty and Tom Raleigh are fit, it's good, but I think we've seen when so Tom Raleigh's been out. That we are really, and when Fisher Harris went down, we are lacking in the front row, and we've been lucky that Jackson Ford's just been able to step up and be really good. But I don't think he's a starting front rower as such. So it's interesting. I think Andrew Webster was obviously listening to our podcast last week, so it's good to see him make the move and put Noah Corey in the front row. So. We'll see what happens this week. We are recording on Monday, so we've got no team for the game ahead. But we will briefly talk about it soon. But before we do that, should we do some YLMs quickly, John?
Yeah. Just quickly though, I realized I did hit a nerve with the old Tompkins thing when I saw your comment on social media. I realized I hit a nerve there, but it was I mean, like you have to admit that I get you were saying that we thought he was going to be the next Billy Slater, but he was touted as to be the next Billy Slater. He was a lot of pressure was put
He,
on
wa-
him.
he
Even
wasn't bad though. I really don't think he was
he
bad, but
wasn't he
the way the
wasn't
Warriors
special
fans
either.
treated him, the way Warriors fans treated him. I remember going to the Nines,
Yeah,
and it was the year he'd come and he came over and played the Nines, and him and Sean Johnson, they're just oh, it was beautiful, beautiful to watch. And
yeah.
it got me very excited for him. But yeah, he wasn't able to sort of live up to that potential with the faithful, that's for sure. So yeah, shout out to Sam Tompkins. I'm sure he listens to the podcast as well. So just
Yeah.
want to say we
So,
miss you,
sorry,
Sam,
Sam.
and good luck with
Nothing personal.
retirement.
Yeah, nothing personal, Sam. Just yeah, just didn't think you lived up to your potential uh, in at the Warriors. But yeah, but you've got
Shut
your
your
you got your
mouth, John.
backing from Richard, so it's all good.
Shut your mouth,
Yeah.
John. But while Ian's
Well,
time, so
yeah.
we give our daily in points just for the Warriors for their performances for the week.
Yep.
3, 2, 1 rankings. Do you want to go first this week?
Yeah. Why not, mate? So 3 points, Luke Metcalf, and for all the reasons I mentioned earlier, he ran again, ran with authority. Was able to steer the team around, but also attack as well. He just played his natural game, and it was just awesome to see because that's what I want to see that's what anyone wants to see in that number 7, right? Someone that can do like an Anna Reynolds, for example, Nathan Cleary, someone that knows how to steer the team around and manage the game on the field, but also when they need to, they can step up and attack, and that's what he did. And I know, like I said earlier, it's not 100% there, but it's creeping up. It's going up. It's getting up there, and the more and more he continues to play this way, the more and more he's going to get better. Could probably improve on his kicking game and things like that. But in terms of goal kicking game, they can improve. And yeah, maybe his last tackle play kicks can be a bit better. He's got a big boot on him, so I'm expecting to see more 40-20s from him this year because he's got a big boot on him, and he seems to get them done at the right time. But yeah, so Luke Metcalf. He also had that intercept, which I actually thought he was actually going to score that try easily, but he was chased down. He got a
How quick
bit, got a bit,
Fincher Sharp's pretty quick, eh?
yeah. But I mean, he got a bit roasted. He got roasted by Wayde Egan at the end. Did you watch the commentary after where Wayde Egan was being interviewed by Sean Johnson, etc. And Wayde Egan was saying that
I refuse to watch those post-match interviews with Sky. It's
oh,
just so bad.
Sean Johnson's he's actually brought a bit of a difference there. So I was watching that one, and he was so Wayde Egan was saying that Luke Metcalf on the field was saying, "Oh, it was cramp. It was because of cramp. I wasn't able to run the whole field because of cramp." And they were giving it to him giving it to him there. So I mean, he did come up with a bit of cramp because I saw on the field where they were actually stretching his
Oh
legs.
yeah, he
But
was. Yeah.
I don't know if he was just using it as an excuse of why he was able to get to the try line. But hey, he did a good job. So 3 points for Luke Metcalf for me. Um, the other reasons I mentioned earlier on in the podcast and on this episode, so you can go back if you want to hear what I thought about Luke Metcalf on the day. Wayde Egan, as we just mentioned before, he's definitely up there for the Sky Blue selection, I reckon. If not, then those Aussies are just being really biased towards their own players, especially when Wayde Egan he is an Aussie, but playing for New Zealand Warriors. But I loved Wayde Egan just doing what he does, just doing what he does. His old classic, dummy half runs. That try he scored from dummy half right on the line there. That's what you want to see a dummy half doing, right? Doing things like that. Um, he had a 94% tackle efficiency rate on the game. Um, so he was just yeah. I just think he was just amazing. It's hard to sometimes come up with words for Wayde Egan because he does this quite often. His no look passes and he just creates havoc up the middle. And I said that earlier, so I just don't want to repeat myself. But yeah, Wayde Egan for 2 points. And the one point I found it really hard to give because there's a few people that could put their hand up for that 1 point. Pompey, Jackson Ford both scored doubles, etc. But I'm going to give it to Pompey for his 2 tries. He also had his that try assist as well when I can't remember who batted it down, but he got it around the corner, then ran down, went down the blind side, and then passed it inside to Jackson Ford to score his first try. So I thought Pompey did really well, especially and Pompey's first try as well. That fend, he's got a good fend on him.
A little
Yeah,
goosey. How good was
yeah, a
that?
little goose step. Yep, goose step followed by a good fend. So yeah, good on Pompey for doing that. So I'll give Pompey my 1 point.
Nice, bro. Yeah, you don't see enough fins in league these days. There's a lot of just
No,
sort of like the big bonfires, but just a good old
Yeah,
fashioned fiend. Love it.
bonfires. Yeah,
Um, yeah, mine's similar, but I've given another player 3 points. I thought, yeah, Ian Clark was my best on the field again. Yeah, I gave him a wee shout out before, but yeah, I just think he just gets better and better.
yeah,
And just increased minutes. He played 64 minutes this week. A few stats here: 155 meters from 17 carries, 63 post contact meters. You know
yeah.
how much I love those post contact meters, John.
Yep,
And
I
with
know.
Fanoa Blake gone, there's a few boys who have been sort of filling that void. Shout to Chance. I think Chance had about 80 on the weekend.
Yep.
So yeah, also yeah, we probably haven't really touched too much on the Chance news, have we? Or did we talk about it last week? We probably talked about it last week, didn't
Yeah,
we?
we did. Yeah, yeah,
Clark got a try assist and 45 tackles as well. So top the tackle count, even more than Wayde Egan. So yeah, I'm loving what I'm seeing from him. And just give me some more of that young Clark beautifulness. 2 points to Wayde Egan. Yeah, I mean you kind of said it all before, but he's looking great. 43 tackles, 0 misses. So yeah, I mean if he's not in the at least the chat for Origin, then Laurie Daly's a bloody fool. He needs to start looking at his Instagram messages.
yep.
And yeah, Pompey 1 point as well for me. Yeah, two
Oh,
tries. It
nice.
was the
Yep.
goosey that got me. I
Oh,
thought that
mate.
was just great to see. He did have a few, that early era, dropped the ball, and I think he was lucky that Gagai had sort of got his hand in there and knocked it on.
Yeah.
But on the whole, I thought yeah, he was great, and especially playing out of position as well. He sort of
Yep.
just gave us a bit more confidence that and a few more headaches. What's going to happen when some of these boys come back? So I did want to ask
Yeah.
you that, John. Obviously we've got probably in that back five, we've probably got about 7 or 8 players who have played there this season. Obviously, DWZ and RTS both injured at the moment. They were probably the first choice winners, but yeah, who have you? Once everyone's fit, someone's people, good players are going to be missing out.
Yeah.
Who have you got slotting into those 5 spots? We'll say 7 spots for good measure, because I know you've probably got you've got some hot takes on the halves as well, and want to see if that's changed since last week.
Yeah. I had a bit of a think about this because are we doing this as in like what we want to see or what do we think Webster's gonna will do? Because they're two different things. You know what I mean?
Oh, I want to know what you want to see.
Oh, okay. In that case, it changes what my lineup here. Then it changes everything. So I actually initially wrote it down as how Webster would do it. Hmm?
You can give me that now, and then when I say
Okay.
mine, you can think about it.
Okay. Look. Okay. So I'll give you my Andrew Webster backline. Okay, which is fullback chance. That's not going to change. I think once RTS is back, I think he'll go straight back in. I don't have a feeling that he won't be going back to New South Wales Cup for a few games. I think he'll just go straight back into it. I think he's that good and too experienced to be able. He knows what he's doing, so he can go straight back in there. Same with DWZ. I think he'll go straight back to the wing as well. I think Berry will keep a spot at centre, and also this is the tricky one. I think when it comes to from my selection as well, but also I think for Webster's, where do you have Leotoa or Pompey at centre? Who do you keep in there? Because they're both. I mean, they've both been doing their jobs pretty well, and I think, but because Barry's like obviously a favoured centre, he's just going to have his role. So I think one of the centre roles is between Leotoa and Pompey. That's what I believe. That's the problem. That's the headache Webster will have when RTS and DWZ come back. The halves. I still think he'll stick with Harris Tavita and Luke Metcalf because I just think that's what he's doing. Um, Tanner Boyd was on the bench. He was 18th man for the game against the Knights, and I would really, really. So if I give you my quick, back line, because Topiki is not even in the frame when I say Webster's one, so that's the hard one. And yeah, I would have Topiki still at fullback, Roger in one wing, DWZ on one wing, Berry at one centre, and Chance at another centre. That's what I would do. Sounds pretty rough on Leotoa and Pompey because they're actually playing pretty well, not doing bad things. But that's just my personal preference. That's why sometimes it's good to have these headaches. When you've got players that are in form and you don't know who to select. But yeah, and then my halves pairing preference would be Luke Metcalf and Tanner Boyd. I'm not sure how you work that because they both want to play halfback. But I just think that Harris Tavita would be more worthy on as a 14 as a utility rather than 5'8". I'm not saying Harris Tavita is playing bad or anything. I'm not trying to say that he needs to be axed. That's not what I'm trying to say. I just think Thunder Boyd is better in the halves. That's what I'm just genuinely saying. But and I think if you look at Thunder Boyd in New South Wales Cup, the way he's been playing, it's amazing what he's doing. And because he's got NRL experience, I'm pretty sure he'll be able to transfer that onto the first grade team without a problem. So yeah, that's my take, mate. What about you?
Very cool, bro. Very cool. Yeah, I think yeah. With the Webster's team, the only change that I'd be making would be I don't think that Rocco Berry would be there. I think the other two are playing better. I don't think Rocco
Yeah.
Berry's had a few chances this year and
Hmm.
just hasn't looked as good as sort of what we know has been in the previous years. And on the way that Leotoa and Pompey are playing, I think I'd be putting both of them ahead of Berry.
Fair
Um,
enough.
and then, yeah, obviously, he won't be changing the half period. I mean, yeah, if you still need to change the half period at the moment, I really do think that because we're winning games. They're still figuring it out. We are 7 games into it, but hey, we're 5-2. The comp's very open. If we start sort of losing a few games, then there'll be some questions. But for now, keep it like that. My personal preference, yeah, would be I'd also have Tane at the back, Tuapiki at the back, DWZ and RTS. Yeah, they just come straight back in. They're both too good and too
Yep.
experienced not to, and I've got Challenge and Lautoa in the centres,
Fair enough. Yeah.
and yeah, halves. I'll just keep them as they are at the moment
Yep.
because I think they're building their relationship. I think like Harris Tabata had some good. I think he had there's two tries that sort of came from his kicks. There's those
Yeah.
bottoms sort of close to the line, which
Yeah.
you talked before about. We were actually contesting them. He was
Yeah.
obviously just getting the right height and the right distance on it. So, yeah, but
Yeah.
yeah, I mean it's a good position to be in, but it's just hard to see how we're going to keep all this depth. We've got Tanner Boyd,
Yeah.
Tomato Martin, even the likes of sort of Cossie and there's some other, once
Well,
everyone's
that's
fit, there's good players missing out. That New South Wales Cup team's only going to get better,
yeah.
eh?
Well, that's the thing about having a squad full of stars and that are playing well in form because eventually it may sound good to have these kind of selection headaches in front of you, but then the players themselves start to worry about game time, and then when offers come along because of the fact that they're playing well and offers will come, it makes them really question whether should I be staying here at the Warriors? Should I go somewhere where I get the opportunity to play? And that's where I'm worried about some players, like Tuapiki, for example, with Chance, signing on for an extra 2 years. That's what I'm worried about is Tuapiki. What
Yeah.
happens to Tuapiki? Does because Chance has signed on for another 2 years, is Webster going to say, nah, that number one's jersey is his for the next 2 years? Is he already come out and said he hasn't said that publicly, but is that what he's thinking? Because if he is, if I was too picky, I wouldn't want to be there. I wouldn't want to be there.
Nah,
Yeah.
nah. I mean, there's obviously a plan. Tuapiki is signed for another to end next year, so
Yeah.
I mean he's obviously aware of that. But yeah, I mean, Charles is playing great. Like
Yeah.
he
He
is.
is. He
He's
is.
playing
Yeah.
awesome this season. He's been
Yep.
really, really good. I just think, yeah, for me, it's you want to get your best players on the field, and I don't want us to lose to a biggie,
Yeah.
and Chance does offer that extra versatility. He's obviously started his career on the wing. I feel like he's
Yeah.
doing a fine job on the wing, but he just doesn't quite have the height these days. Like I mean.
Yeah.
A couple of weeks ago,
Xavier
he was
Coates.
up
Yeah.
against, yeah, he was up against Coates, and look at some of those winners in the comp. He's just going to get, they're just going to notice it. I mean, yeah, imagine him and Dom Young. You'd be kicking to that corner
Yeah.
every time, wouldn't you? Because
Yeah. But that's
the,
that's the
the height
reality of it,
difference is
isn't
just so
it?
much.
That's the reality though, isn't it? It was like Tuapiki is an amazing player, and not we don't just know it. Not the Warriors fans don't know it. The whole NRL knows it. He's an amazing player. So if people can say, for example, if they hear me saying, "Oh, Tuapiki will go there," no, don't say that. Don't say that about Tuapiki. He's going to stay. But you don't realize that when you're a professional player, you want to be out in the field. And if you're not getting the opportunities to stay in the field because someone else is taking your spot, and while at the same time you're still playing really well and you're in good form, eventually you're going to say, okay, is there somewhere else I can go where actually I will get a chance, an opportunity to play and cement cement my spot in the side as fullback and as the first time, sorry, not first time, the first grade, starting fullback. Because then I'm sure there'll be other clubs that would love to have him on, sort of thing. So, as a professional player, those are the thoughts that they will go through your head. Even if you love the club as much, as Tuapiki does with the Warriors, he loves the Warriors. But if the opportunities aren't coming, there is going to come a time when you're like, okay, well, let's go back to the drawing board. Let's go back to the drawing board and see if there are any offers up there. And he'll probably tell his agent, is there anyone else that wants me? And just to see, which I'm sure that would happen. So I'm really worried about losing Tuapiki if Chance has got a hold on that, on that fullback spot.
Yeah, bro. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm with you there. I'm sure I know there's a lot of other Warriors fans in the same boat, but also,
Yeah.
yeah, it's great to have these guys obviously wanting to play for the Warriors. Everyone's sort of re-signing, so it's great. We do
Yeah.
have a game this weekend against the Cowboys for Magic Round, the scene of one of the great Warriors upsets where they took down the Panthers last year, without a heap of the first graders. The top team. So we're still a few short. We're still short of two of us, Sheik, Dallin, and Fisher Harris in particular. So they're three guys who
Yeah.
are due back in the next probably 3 or 4 weeks, I think. So we're great to have them all back. But we're obviously recording on a Monday. We don't know the team yet.
Yeah.
But if you were going to take a stab at the dark, do you have any do you have any shock selections that you think Webster's going to do, or do you think he'll do what he's done for the last 3 seasons, just pick the team he's picked the week before?
Um. So the bench last week was Jacob Laban, Jackson Ford. Who else? Valmoga.
Umaga and who else was it?
It wasn't Bunty, was it? It wasn't
Yeah,
Bunty,
but
was it?
yeah,
It
yeah,
was Bunty. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. The reason why I say it was a Bunty because they didn't really see much of him
No, I
in the
think he
game.
only played about 15 minutes. So
Yeah, and yeah. There's a part of me that would love to see Sam Healy come into the side. He's actually a bigger body, and for someone that normally plays dummy half. Um, he's actually quite a bigger body. I just think he needs a shot, to be honest. And I think if you've got Jackson Ford there and Murata there as well, if he plays prop again, which I think that should be the case. Because when does James Fisher Harris get back? Not for a while, eh? Doesn't he? It's not for a while.
I think he's about round 11, so we're at
Yeah.
round 9 this week. So yeah,
Uh,
probably another 2 or 3 games out.
yeah, I'll still be sticking with the new Corday in the front row, Jackson Ford to come off as the relief front rower when one of them comes off. Valmaga, I'll keep him in there as well for that reason as well. And Healy and probably Jacob Laban as well. Keep him in there. But I think if you're not going to be using your other players like Bunty, for only 15 minutes, there's no harm in actually putting Sam Healy in there as well. You can probably give Wayde Egan a bit of a rest as well. If they're doing well, give Wayde Egan a bit of a rest as well. That's what they did a couple of games ago. Gave him a bit of a rest because they're worried about head knocks and stuff, but
Yeah,
things like
Tyrone
that. But
Martin
yeah,
came on, eh?
Sam Healy. I don't see it happening, but that's what I would like to see. That's what I'd like to
Nice.
see. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I suspect it will just be the same team, but if there
yeah,
was a change, yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing Sam Healy in there. I think that backline kind of, that's the best we're gonna do without the likes of Tuivasa-Sheck
yeah,
and Dallin there. So we'll take that back five. They're all playing pretty good. I sort of mentioned before, like I do want to. I think Rocco Beers. I feel like he's been a little bit underwhelming the last few weeks when he's had a
yeah,
chance. Obviously, it's been would have been half season for him because he was injured, came back, but injured again, then had suspension, so he's just struggling to get that consistency. But they obviously rate him. He's obviously right up there, and when everyone is fit, I think he'd be right up there with what Webster wants. But
Yeah,
just with the way that Leotoa and Pompey are playing, I'd be interested to see what happens there. But yeah, I'm going to say I'm going to pick my player to watch this week is going to be Rocco Berry. I think that I it would be a much more sort of solid performance from him. Even last week defensively, he wasn't sort of his best. I think he had
yeah.
about 3 or 4 missed tackles, which is unlike him. So he's my man to watch. Have you got a player to watch for us this week against the Cowboys and match round?
Oh, Wayde Egan. My eyes will be glued on Wayde Egan to see how he goes against Reece Robson, and I mean that because I really would love to see him, become the next Warriors Origin player. We had, like, thankfully, we don't see it, we don't really see it. When it comes to Warriors sides, for many years now, we have two players, that play for both sides in Origin, like, Kate Railway at Queensland, Mitch Barnett for New South Wales, and I'd love to see Wayde Egan get a shot because he's always been in the conversations, but he never really, he's always like maybe third or fourth off the rank. Um, but I think this time, he's definitely proved that he's up there. I reckon he's in the top two, and I'd love to. Yeah, I think my eyes will be on Wayde Egan and Reece Robson to see how they go, because I think Laurie Daly, who should be responding to my message, I think he, I think he will have his eyes on this game. I think Laurie Daly will have a big fix on this game because he'll want to see how they go against each other. I think that's will be the case because he knows that his potentially two best possibilities for hooker are playing against each other. So I think he will have a big view on this game as well. So yeah, keep your eyes on Wayde Egan and Reece Robson for this game.
And with the way that the games are being officiated at the moment, who's your money on to be the first to get 10 of the bin?
Well, did you hear the news that they've actually the NRL have made they've already they've gone already and made some changes already to the bunker? Did you hear the news?
Oh, look, I saw something about it, and I was I'm not even gonna. I was trying to put my daughter to sleep. She was taking ages, and I don't have time to bloody get into this right
Well,
now.
yeah, fair enough. Well, basically, just to give you a quick summary, is that the NRL have come out after what 16 or 18 sin bins in round eight alone, which is a lot of sin bins. Now the bunker are not allowed to go back 8 plays, or eight or so plays. One, to go look at to look at an incident and call a penalty or sin bin. They're not allowed to do that anymore. Apparently, they're only allowed to look back if it's something really, really significant, like if it's really ugly and everyone's missed it. But if it's something that the referees missed, touch judges have missed, and the players have really haven't, they just keep cracking on with the game. The bunker apparently is not allowed to intervene. Apparently, but the bunker is just a yeah. Yeah, I get annoyed with the bunker because especially when you hear them talking and giving their reasons why they're not giving a trial for this, it just sounds so stupid. Some of their reasoning is just so stupid. But okay, I haven't answered your question. Sorry, mate. Yeah, sometimes I yap on too much. Yeah. Who would I think would be in the bin? Um, I think it'll be one of our forwards. I can't say who because I just don't know. I'll just go to New Cordy again. I'll just say New Cordy
Yeah,
because he got some
when
bint. Yeah.
you get sit binned in the second minute of a game, it's not a good look. So I
Yeah.
was going to go with him, but I'll branch out and I'll go with no, Leka. Well, Leka's a legend. Um,
Yeah.
maybe maybe Mitch Barnett. He's still got a bit of mongrel in him. Like he
That's what
came up
makes him
against his
right.
old club last week. But remember what he was like when he was at Newcastle. He was an absolute grub. So there's something still in there. Even though he's captain, I think yeah, he's my pick to spend some time on the in the sin bin. Is there anything else you
All
want us
right.
to
Well,
mention about that game?
let's
It's
hope.
obviously really hard to sort of break it down too much with no teams to talk about. But yeah,
Yeah.
I think that we'll give our tips soon. But was there anything else you wanted to sort
Yep.
of point out in that game?
Nah. I mean, I'm just looking at the ladder right now. That's what I was looking at right now. Is that the Cowboys are on sixth position on 10 points. They're on -10. The points differential. We're on fourth we're in fourth position on 12 points, which is awesome, but we're on negative 4 points. And to be honest, when you're in the top four, you shouldn't really have a negative deficit, really. That's so. I'd like to, well, if I'm going to say something, I'd love to see the Warriors do well and rake up the points like they did last week, but not just let in some easy tries like they did, because I thought we were going to have a positive points differential in this game against the Knights, but then they let in that easy try at the end, and it ended up being yeah. And it's the same against the Broncos. We were way ahead of them, because of our missed kicks. We let them in the game. We kept them in the game with our missed kicks. And I know kicks are not easy. You can't always get them. I'm just saying there was a good 8 missed kicks there, which is, I mean, sorry, 4 missed kicks there, which would have mounted up to 8 points, which would have given us a big buffer. What if we had lost that game? The headlines, like you said in the time we recorded this, it would have been a different headline about
Yeah, bro.
us losing
Big
that.
time.
So I would love to see the Warriors just play some really attacking football and actually get their points differential into the positives rather than the negatives, because you shouldn't really be in the top four with a negative deficit, a negative points differential. But they're there, it's happening. So let's just see it go up. Yeah,
Yeah, well, it's obviously because the two losses we've had have been quite big, and then this Warriors team, apart from on the weekend against the Knights, they're not a 13 plus team. They grind out pretty close wins, and all the other wins this season have been pretty close. I think the Manly one was alright in the end, wasn't it? Yeah, I think that may have been over 10 points, but yeah, afterwards maybe. Okay, let's just do a
yeah,
quick round tips and call it in for the week. So first up, we've got
yep,
Sharks and Eels. Sharks obviously coming off a heartbreaking loss to the Tigers. Um,
yep,
yeah, the Sharks need to figure out. I thought the Warriors were bad at taking a drop goal. The Sharks, that was embarrassing. Coming up against the Eels, who have had a bye and obviously came off their first win. Oh, their first win of the season week before. Not their first win of the season. Yeah, it was. Yeah.
yep.
Who you got?
Uh, I still think the Sharks will bounce back. I mean, the Eels obviously are looking a lot better with Moses there, and what's his name? Dylan Brown, is his partner there, and Dylan Walker has made a big difference since he's come into the Eels side. He's doing what he did at the Warriors. He's doing for the Eels what he did at the Warriors, and that was always good. So it's a hard one because I actually think the Sharks will come back, but don't I wouldn't rule out the Eels in there because they're actually starting to pick up their form a bit. Wasn't like that at the start, but it's funny when you inject someone like Mitchell Moses in and Dylan Brown and Dylan Walker, things change. Yeah, so yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. Most man Houston. I'm gonna go Sharks as well.
yep,
Next up, Roosters and Dolphins on Friday night. Roosters coming off a good win against the Dragons, and the Dolphins coming off what they'd be pretty disappointed. That they were up 28-10 and they lost 40-28 against the Raiders.
yeah,
So yeah, after they put 40 consecutive points on the Storm the week before, the Dolphins are a hard team to sort of pack. But the Roosters similarly seem to play a good game and then a bad game, so maybe this would be a bad game for them. And I'm going to go the Dolphins in this one, and Brisbane as well.
It's a tricky one. It's a hard one to pick, that one, isn't it? I was gonna go. I'll
Yeah,
go Roosters just to go against you for this one. Yeah,
sweet, sweet, sweet.
yeah,
Rabbitohs Knights up next. Yeah, the Knights look bad. They're pretty much unbackable, I reckon. So I'll quite happily go the Rabbitohs.
yeah. Same. Just basically on what you just said. It's hard to see them winning. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. The Rabbitohs. They didn't look bad against the Storm. Obviously lost, but they put up a fight. So
Yeah.
next up, our beloved Warriors are playing. I think it's the 7:30 game on Saturday night, so it's not too bad.
Nice.
We're against the Cowboys, and I have not been impressed with the Cowboys at all this year. I think it'll be a tight one, but the Warriors. I'm picking the Warriors to get this one.
Yeah, me too. Who did they play in the weekend?
Well, they
Um,
did play the Titans and score 50 points,
that's
but
right. But the thing is that when I was watching, I watched a bit of that game, and when I was watching it, the Titans were well ahead. They were well ahead, and then they came, when I saw the end score, I was like, "How did that happen?" I was just
yeah,
like, "How did that happen?" So, I mean,
they
I
are a
didn't see the
team
game.
who,
Yeah,
yeah, they're a team who, when they get on a roll, they can score a lot of points. But I feel
yeah,
like yeah, defensively, we've been pretty good this year, and I don't think they're going to be doing that to us. So yeah,
yeah.
I'm picking like a 22-18 win to the Warriors.
Nice. That's a fair prediction there. If you're a gambler, you can thank Richard later.
Exact score.
Yeah, you can thank Richard later. um, but I'll. Oh, it's a hard one. Who you going with again?
Warriors. 22-18.
Yeah, I'm obviously going Warriors. I'm just trying to think of a score as well, just to see if it's close to yours. Uh, I'll just say one. I'll be one between 1 to 6. 1 to 6. Yeah, Warriors.
Sweet.
It's pretty bad of me, but yeah, it's pretty bad of me.
Tigers and Dragons up next. Tigers coming off their big win over the Sharks and Golden Point yesterday, and the Dragons, got smoked by the Roosters. Dragons are another team that seem to be sort of on, off, on, off, on, off.
Yeah.
But I think the Tigers shouldn't drop this one. I'll go to Tigers.
No, you're absolutely right. Dragons are on and off. They've racked up some really good wins against some really good teams, but then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, against a team that you would think that they would punish, considering the way they played the week before, doesn't happen. Um, I'll go with the Tigers as well. I mean, apparently, I didn't watch that game, but apparently Lockie Galvin had made a big difference coming back into the side. It was interesting. I was watching some of the highlights just to see when they scored tries how and they all, with all the players sort of just come together and they all, just congratulating each other. Wanted to see how Lockie Galvin was all that. He came in and was all in all that. So yeah, I don't know if that would be an awkward dressing room, awkward
Sure they would
changing
have.
sheds.
Yeah,
Yeah,
sure they would have addressed it throughout the week and
yeah.
been like, we're
Let's get
here
on with it,
now.
right?
We've all got the same goal, so it's good to
Yep.
see. Yeah, hopefully
Yeah.
he's having a good time and they're not giving him a hard time.
Yeah.
Three more games. Just quickly go through Titans, Bulldogs. Titans got 50 scored on them against the Dragons, so I'm happy to bet against them and take the Bulldogs to bounce back after their first loss of the season.
Yeah, for me, Bulldogs as well. Despite the fact they'll be out with three of their key players through suspension. Suspension.
That's true. Yeah,
Curran.
that game was ridiculous.
Yeah.
I don't know if you watched it. I think McKenna said about 17 times. I'm just shocked. I'm just shocked. Every time they drop the ball or get a try scored, I'm just shocked. I was shocked as well, Mickey, if you're listening.
Yeah.
Panthers Broncos up next. Speaking of the Bronx, playing at Suncorp, but of course it's officially an away game.
Yep.
As only the Broncos could get away
Can
with.
do. Yep.
Yeah, I mean we've sort of touched on the Panthers, 2 wins for the season.
I'm giving it to the Panthers.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
no,
They're going to bounce back. They're going to bounce back in this one. And the reason why I say that is because now that it's in the media that the likes of Dylan Edwards and Cleary, their origin spots are on the line. They're going to put in an improved performance, knowing that, and they're going to bounce back because of that. That's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm predicting.
so I love that. I will go the Broncos just
Okay.
because they're at home and
Yep. When
Panthers
are they
haven't
not?
been great, but
Yep.
I'd be stoked to see it.
Yeah.
And the Storm Raiders to finish it off. Storm Raiders should be a great game. Raiders, yeah, not a great first half, but they bounced back and put on 30 points in the second half, so they showed they can score some points. Could be quite a high scoring game because there's um, two, two electric sort of backlines. Um, the Raiders, who are my beloved second team, and I picked them as the wooden spoon. They're doing pretty great, coming third. So
Yep.
I'll put them for an upset.
Yep. I'll go with the Storm. I'll take the Storm. Yep.
We're on the opposite sides of a couple of them. Just a
Yep.
wee update. I got 5 last week. You got 3, and now I've extended my lead to 4 points. So I'm on 39. You're on 35. So
Well, that is the 2025 NRL Premiership for you, right?
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
sure I'm not the only one that is flopping some of their tips this year. So oh
yeah.
well, yeah,
The most we've got is 6 in a week. Yeah,
yeah,
I've got it once. You've got it twice, I think.
mm,
But yeah, lots of 3s, 4s, and 5s apart from that.
yeah,
So
exactly.
yeah, it's just been one of those
Yep,
seasons. Sweet.
yep.
That's it for another season. Nothing for another episode of Couch Coaches. Nothing you want to drop in before we sign off, John?
No, no, no. Just as always, we want to say thank you for the support. Um, we actually we've decided to, we as oldies here, we've decided to jump onto TikTok to see how it goes, and it's not doing that bad. So if you use TikTok, go to our Facebook page, and I'll put our username on there because I actually don't even know it properly. It's Les and Lady, I think it is at the moment, but we have to change that. But yeah, check us up on TikTok. I can't promise that we will not do a TikTok dance, me and Richard, but yeah, yeah, come and check us up on TikTok, and yeah, just continue. If you're watching this, if you haven't subscribed, subscribe to us. It gives us a lot of help and it keeps us going. So yeah, subscribe on all our channels. I'll let you finish it
Yeah.
off, Richard, from there.
Yeah, hit that subscribe button. Find us on YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, all the podcast platforms, and all the social platforms. Thanks for listening to us dribble on for another hour about our beloved mighty Vodafone Warriors. John and I are both booked our flights to Sydney, so we'll be off to the grand final on the fifth weekend of October. Cannot wait! It's going to be great. Watch the mighty Warriors finally bring home the bacon on their 30th year. So thanks for listening, and we will see you again in another week to talk about hopefully a big win over the North Queensland Cowboys. Thanks for listening. Bye bye.
Night.
There we go. I got there.
Bro, again, like I thought that this would be a shorter episode.